What up, yo?
A ghost!
A gaste.
Hey, what's up, everybody? How are you guys doing? We are back with another episode of the Power Up Podcast. It's a podcast that's dedicated to making people smile. It's a podcast that looks into pop culture to look at the good, the bad, the ugly, sometimes the supernatural, the spiritual. That takes place. A lot of gaming talk, some anime talk, some TV show talk, movie talk, all that fun stuff. And our goal is to just bring back that nostalgic fire because it's dying because there's a bunch of woke garbage into it. So I hope you guys had a good weekend. I did. 4th of July is coming up. So I hope you guys have a fun time doing that. I'm sure I will still be streaming that day. But we've got some articles here that I'd like to check out, look into, see what's up. Ranges from the big one that I think I'll save for the last read, and that is apparently Japanese gamers have had enough, and they have made a petition to cancel Ubisoft's upcoming Assassin's Creed Shadows game. So we'll look into that and see how that goes and what's all involved. Supposedly, the Catholic Church apparently might make someone a saint who will be the first gamer saint. So I find that very interesting. So we're definitely going to be checking out that one. And then Nintendo says that in order to avoid scalping, it will do its best to meet the demands of when the Switch 2 makes its appearance. And then we could find other articles along the road. But before we do, make sure to hit that subscribe button, smash that thumbs up, and make sure to turn on notifications to get notified when I go live. I do the Power Up Podcast Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, and game streaming Tuesdays and Thursdays, and maybe an hour on Friday and then over the weekend. So don't miss out. We've been playing Onimusha Dawn of Dreams, slowly coming to an end on that one. And we are playing Mario Tennis Power Tour because I love my Mario Tennis. It's a fun time. So if you enjoy any of that, again, make sure to hit that subscribe button. Make sure to turn on notifications because heaven forbid YouTube sends out notifications if I'm shadow banned, but Rumble does, as well as my locals, which you should check out as well. And if you want to help the channel by just going beyond just pushing the algorithm, you can always check out the membership and subscription tiers. I am thankful and humbled regardless of whoever spends the time hanging out with me. I really appreciate it. And just another guy giving his 2 cents into this wacky world of entertainment. But hopefully making a change in the terms of reminding people that it wasn't always like this. In the past, it was good and it worked. And we need to go back to it because what we're seeing now is not good. I literally just saw this. You know what? We'll go ahead and we'll come in hot and we'll start off with this. Coming from That Park Place. This was apparently July 1st. Former Canadian TV executive calls for women to be banned from making Star Wars. Holy crap, let's check this out. We're already coming in hot, folks. It's insane. So former Canadian TV executive turned YouTuber Paul Chateau called for women to be banned from producing, writing, and directing Star Wars. Oof. Look at this. That is the face of someone going, what the hell are you talking about? I have no idea what your writing is garbage. That's funny. And then Amandla. Gosh, I hate these names. You notice a pattern now showcasing that like anybody who's woke, like they always have to they'll pick a regular name, but they have to like throw in like a different letter, you know, like Amanda, just throw in an L, Amandla, Leslie, don't spell it like you would normally, you throw a Y in there. But apparently in a recent YouTube upload, Chato stated, I think we can now confidently conclude that not only is the Force not female, but women should be banned from producing, writing, or directing Star Wars entirely. Oh, I've seen this guy. Didn't this guy, like, had a canceling on, like, Twitch or something, but his account is back? Not Twitch, X. I think so. Not 100% sure, but I could have sworn I saw it like in some of my peeps that I follow. They threw up that he was suspended or something. Anyway, he explained, I know that sounds harsh and that misogyny word, but the evidence is conclusive. Women should not be making Star Wars. And for good measure, you can include the soy boys like Dave Filoni and all the cucked proto-males living off the fumes of the past. I do not disagree. Oh, man. I mean, proof is in the pudding, and so far the pudding is disgusting, and no one wants to eat it except a very few minority. But it should be canceled immediately. Now, I'm willing to entertain the argument that this is mostly because of all the gender delusional, talentless DEI hires, social justice warriors who have taken over Hollywood, who have no clue that the history of cinema extends prior to 2000. Doesn't matter, he continued. I do think there is a lot of DEI hires and diversity hires, that is for sure. Of course, there are women out there who could write and produce sci-fi. Just look at the incredible work DC Fontana did for Star Trek. But I'm not seeing any evidence of someone of Fontana's skill being hired either. Just look at the giant turd Michelle Paradise turned Star Trek Discovery into, or Jessica Gao, the She-Hulk debacle. Yep. Look at these, like... This just looks... I love these staged, like, behind-the-scenes pictures that you find. She has no idea who she's pointing to. That guy's going, what the hell are you doing? And then this girl's clearly looking at the person taking the picture. What is... Oh, my gosh. Can't even act in a picture. Next, he said, anyway, for me, the canary in the coal mine is their complete lack of interest in what I call gear porn, as in machinery, gadgets, weaponry. The fact that stuff breaks and needs fixing makes for good plot points in sci-fi adventures. Women, sorry for the non-PC terminology in general, are not interested in gear porn. Well, at least the gear part. They don't understand it's... Oh my gosh, this guy's going hot. They don't understand its importance in these kinds of movies and and TV shows, he asserted. There are a few scenes featuring spaceships and the each acolyte flying. Did you see anyone piloting them? No, because they don't care about buttons or switches. They're just floating office lunchrooms. We did see OSHA putting out a fire in the vacuum of space with her PIP fire extinguisher. These women do not care about physics. All their women are they women physicists and astronomers? Yes, absolutely, but they aren't writing for Star Wars. Chato then referenced a scene from Ahsoka. There's a scene in Ahsoka with Sabine tinkering with stuff, but its only purpose was to show how girl boss she was. Same for when OSHA told Soul that she's doing something with the spaceship, something so that it will do something better. And who authorized her to do that anyway? It's not just the gear porn in the movies, the women have no interest in. Look at what James Cameron and especially George Lucas have done to try to advance motion capture editing technology, improving the movie watching experience. Have you heard of THS or THX? I have. That was Lucas. It's what dudes do. Men are tinkerers. Ray could instantly expert fly the Millennium Falcon without an instruction manual because women refuse to read instruction manuals. I thought that was men refused to read instruction manuals, according to the Home Improvement Super Nintendo game. He then highlighted a moment from The Acolyte. We get a fleeting moment of young Osha watching Kalnaka. See, even these names sound terrible. Working on a land speeder. Did she ask why it needed fixing? No, because Leslie Headland didn't care. However, she did care about the poison that would end up killing Torben because women love murder shows and real crime podcasts. My wife loves them. Poisoning a man is exactly what a woman knows other women want to see. Although I am concerned that my wife is planning something. Maybe this collection of male pop culture usurpers should get together and make their own Twilight in Space, he posited. My daughter wrote a 60-page YA Tolkien fantasy novel for a grade 8 project. The battle sequence were shot on description of the fighting, but was repleted with detailed description of what the female soldiers were wearing, and that went on for pages. Not like the number 4. Women think differently, and that's a good thing, except when they are put in charge of IPs created by men. He then pointed at Harry Potter. I made the argument that J.K. Rowling's cross-culture success was due to the fact that she wrote Harry Potter in a masculine voice, featuring a male protagonist who we really wanted to root for. Harry Potter was filled with highly detailed gear porn, the wands, the spells, the potions. It's a staggering work of imagination, the last big IP created to date, all brought to the big screen by male screenwriters and directors. Oops, did I say that? Wow. This guy is going ham. Going hard as fuck. Do you have any idea how much gear porn Universal sells at their Harry Potter theme park? Star Wars sold more merch than any other franchise in history. That business has been killed off because the new movies and streaming efforts provide nothing of interest to sell the Rey, Palpatine, Rose Tico, and Vice Admiral Holdo figurines. They just did not sell very well for some reason, he said. Obi-Wan Kenobi, helmed by Deborah Chow, was laughably bad. It was created by Joby Harold, but we heard rumors that it was crushed by Kathleen Kennedy's pathological meddling, our favorite female Death Star, Shadow relayed. Let me finish off by saying that there's way more to a successful show or movie than just the gear porn in it, though no one would argue that it wasn't a huge part of Iron Man, he said. The problem with The Acolyte, Obi-Wan Kenobi, Ahsoka, Boba Fett go far beyond not having an appreciation for technology and how it should be integrated into productions that purport to be sci-fi in nature. Purport? Okay. Feel like it should be proposed, but whatever. These were badly written shows, all overseen by the utter incompetence of Kathleen Kennedy. One could make the argument that Kennedy and her fixation with turning the Star Wars boy brand into a girl brand has actually ruined things for women in front of and behind the camera. To that point, he questioned, what's the status of that Rey movie directed by activist Sharmeen Obaid-Chino? That being said, Jennifer Salk isn't doing Amazon any favors, and Anne Sharnoff had to be bum-rushed out of Warner's. Other than being women, the common thread is their social activism. We all know how well that's going. Fairly certain that social activism wasn't on the mind of Marcia Lucas when she edited the first 3 good Star Wars movies. And just to prove to you that I'm not a complete asshat, Zack Snyder's Rebel Moon is worse than The Acolyte. I look forward to the comments of women in the business who can't get work because of DEI because you're just not the right kind of woman, Chatto concluded. Kathleen Kennedy made it abundantly clear that one of her main goals was to inject feminism in Star Wars and would be doing it on all levels, from the employees working on Star Wars to the stories and characters Lucasfilms would be telling. So in an interview at Fortune Magazine's The Most Powerful Women Summit, Kennedy said, I think the interesting path we've had is a conversation that took place around consumer products, because there are a lot of companies that were in place who frankly didn't initially feel that Star Wars was for girls. Well, I would say that it wasn't. I would say that it is a very male-dominant series, but that's not to say, girls never watched it or anything like that. She continued, and when you have a company situation where between Lucasfilms and Disney, we are all looking at this situation saying, no, with Star Wars, we have to change this. We have to make sure that we create products that are, in a sense, appealing to both boys and girls. What's wrong with that? Nothing wrong with it. It's just that your idea of equality, which is really equity, is to take the pendulum and just crash it back on the complete other side and get rid of the male gaze XYZ sort of thing. And the only males in the series are a bunch of beta bitches. That's the problem. And that doesn't sell. And you guys know it doesn't sell because you don't care. Kennedy would go on to detail the fact that the company was bought by the Walt Disney Company. It's been amazing because they very much support the fact that we are trying to grow in the workforce, the number of women in executive positions and in all positions inside a company. Again, not really a problem with that, but if you're being hired just for diversity's sake, that is a problem. You should be hired because of your merit and the work you put in. And with the movies that we are making and with the protagonists that we are putting into the stories. So I get a huge amount of support with that. Well, yeah, because they're just as woke as you are, but now even Disney is starting to realize that, oh gosh, we are losing money. She added, but we have 50% of our executive team is women. And 6 out of 8 of the people in my story group are women. And I'm sure there's a lot of people that would be surprised that we're making Star Wars movie and the majority of people involved in the department or in the development of those stories are all women. No one cares. First of all, no one cares if they're women or not. Again, all we care about is, are you telling a good story? And you're not. So all these women that you're claiming that you're so proud of to have on the team, they're either shit at their job and should be fired, or you're just randomly hiring people just to say that, look how inclusive we are, and you're more than willing to sabotage a franchise and destroy a franchise to do it. All for the sake, so what? You can go to bed at night knowing that you made a difference in a few people's lives. And I think it's making a huge difference in the stories we're trying to tell. Oh, it is definitely making a huge difference, but not in the way that you're hoping that it would. So Dave Filoni also admitted this was also part of the plan during a speech at the National Center of Women Information Technology. Why is he there, though? He's a man. He stated, this is what we tried to do with the Star Wars saga. We tried to create more female characters that can represent so many things, because what we are trying to do isn't just to create one type of character. We are trying to create a diverse range of characters, especially female characters that are strong, that are independent. And you're failing miserably. Like, take the fucking hint. He would later say, I also want to get these men that are in this privileged position to tell these stories right now, to change their dynamic and to start looking at story characters, to just make great, interesting characters and stop doing them the same things over and over and over again. The problem is if these characters that you're saying are just doing the same thing over and over again, but it's making money and it's selling, then it works. Hate to say it, but I thought you guys are in this for the money. And right now, you are certainly not making your money back. That's your experience, fine, but we have to be a part of this change, at least I feel. No, you don't. You do not need to be part of this change, because the change is actually killing the industry and the franchise. It's not helping it. Not helping it in the slightest. Isn't the writer's strike still going on from what I saw on X? One of the guys I followed, he was talking about like artists are really getting screwed over because all they're doing is hiring diversity hires. So despite previously claiming that he wanted to create female characters that are strong, that are independent, he would later hedge, I react sometimes as a storyteller. I have to be honest with this idea of a strong female character because I feel like that marginalizes every other type of character that's a woman that says they are weak. That's one type of character. I want dimensional, diverse characters, but you're creating zero. That's the problem. Again, you suck at making these characters, and you're only hiring women that are just diversity hires, that do not actually know how to write these type of characters. Again, if you would hire people based on merit, then a man or a woman wouldn't matter. as long as they can tell a good story. Or, hell, they could work together and make an awesome team to make an awesome character. But you guys don't want to do that because Mayo have had that position for way too long. Well, if the majority of the stuff that pisses you off sells and makes money, then it might be the old saying of if it's not broken, don't fix it. Might be broken in your eyes because there's not enough diversity. Well, then go out and make your own damn movie. I want characters that are women of every race, every age, every description, what have you, doing interesting things and being dynamic. That's what we dedicated to at Lucasfilms, and you will fail miserably because that is a retarded goal to give yourself. Because you should be giving yourself the ability to write good characters. What up, Loki? Well, that guy went ham though, bashing it into it. But I don't disagree with him. He's right. These people do not know how to make a good story. They do not know. So much so that if we go over to Video Game Chronicle, you'll see that Ubisoft lays off dozens at Toronto studio. Why did they lay them off? Who knows? Assassin's Creed, more like Assassin's Creed. Very true. We'll get to that one. We'll see about that one. Because that caught my eye right away. That Japanese gamers made a petition to cancel that shit. Now, when it comes to me and cancellation, should Ubisoft be canceled? No, but should they be aware that they're destroying the series? Absolutely. In a sense, I'm hoping of what they do is like what they did with Stellar Blade. The game wasn't so much canceled. It was, hey, we're just going to tell you right now, we ain't buying this unless you change it back. Now, I have a feeling Ubisoft will probably be like, fuck you. But then I, more than positive, it'll probably end up exactly like the Justice League, the Suicide Squad kills the Justice, whatever that retarded game was, where they were all jacking off because they had all these pre-orders and stuff, and then it just, boom, just went down. More layoffs? Dang, gaming is in a bad situation. It is, and these people have no one to blame but themselves because they're the ones that are doing it. Because they're hiring people based off of diversity hire and DEI and woke bullshit and wasting all their money at retarded consultation, Sweet Baby Inc. Setups. When literally you don't need any of that shit. I would even personally would go on further and say cut back on the motion capturing and all that stuff. And starting to just have characters be the actors. But the Prince of Persia remake is now planned for 2026. And apparently, this is from the Ubisoft Toronto studio that's behind making the Sands of Time remake, and they just let go 33 developers. So that's not good. Now, I didn't see anything about this remake. If the words modern and audience in that same phrase or shows up anywhere in this remake, you know it's dead. But apparently Ubisoft Toronto has decided to conduct a targeted realignment to ensure it can deliver on its ambitious roadmap, reads a statement to PC Gamer. Unfortunately, this will impact the roles of 33 team members who will be leaving Ubisoft. We are committed to providing comprehensive support to them, including severance and career assistance to help through this transition. Oh, I'm so glad. I'm so glad. You're wrong says, good studios have become bloated with useless people, useless, greedy, whiny, alt-left people. Yes. Yes, and that's why my channel exists. To point out and laugh at that sort of thing, while also supporting, I get how to word this carefully here. Because don't get me wrong. You won't see me weeping when these companies like burn in flames. I say burn in flames in the term of them being shut down because they can't keep up payment and all that stuff, and they don't sell well. That's what I mean. Not so much actually physically seeing burning down, although that would be kind of funny as well, too. Because, as the song One Week goes, I'm the kind of guy who laughs at a funeral. But it's definitely one of those things until, the circus tent needs to be burnt down in order for this to be fixed. You can't rebuild a structure when there's already stuff in there. It has to be destroyed and removed. Last month, Ubisoft claimed excellent progress was being made on the game. Oh, that's nice. And then a month later, hey, you 33 members. You're gone. We'll treat you right with that nice severance pay. Believe us. I love it. So Toronto is the studio behind Far Cry 5 and Far Cry 6, Watch Dogs Legion, and the upcoming Splinter Cell remake. Did any of those games do well? I never kept up with the Far Cry, Watch Dogs Legion. I'm not exactly sure. My apologies. Unfortunately, man, I really need to drink just more water as opposed to soda during these streams because it gets me bubbly, but I can't help it. But I mean, that Splinter Cell remake, if it's not modernized, I'd take a gander at it. When it was announced in September of 2020, the Prince of Persia remake has been in development for 2.5 years at Indian studio, Ubisoft Pune and Ubisoft Mumbai, and it was planned for release in January 2021. Well, we never saw that. But following a negative reaction to the game's reveal trailer, it was delayed several times, and last year it was announced that Ubisoft Montreal, which made 2003's original Sands of Time, had taken over development duties. If it's the same people, that's a good sign. During the Ubisoft Forward showcase in June, the company revealed that it now plans for the game to be released in 2026 and that no platforms were announced for the remake. A rather short article, but again, the point is to be aware about how all these layoffs are happening, and it's going to continue to happen. And yet the same people who bitch about there needing to be equality and diversity and DEI in all these video games then whine and complain about when these studios let go of people. On social media, of course. I personally believe secretly behind the scenes they're happy about it because they're the ones that were probably the diversity hire. And they're like, whew, fuck those guys. Get them out of here. I didn't get fired. Because they're scum. But as long as they don't do my boy wrong, I'd like to see the remake. Endymon made a post on X talking about the newest Prince of Persia thing, that it was actually a really good game, and apparently they made a skin where you could be the OG Prince of Persia, this guy. So if that's the case, I'd possibly check it out and just slap that skin on right away, because there's no reason to change him. Alrighty. You know what? We'll actually do this. So Resident Evil 7 director Akoshi Nakanishi will direct Resident Evil 9. The idea for the game feels substantial, the director teased. So, as it stated before, he's going to be directing the new entry into the Resident Evil series. Apparently confirmed during the Capcom Next digital showcase, Nakanishi will helm the next new entry in the series, expected to be Resident Evil 9. It was difficult to figure out what to do after Resident Evil 7, Nakanishi said. Not to be an ass, but I got a great idea of what you could do. How about you actually just go back to zombies? I've got a great idea. Take it back to how the OG series was, just with today's technology. Bring it back to zombies, more puzzles, but better controls, all that stuff. Man, how amazing would it be to see the fixed camera angle aspect come back again, but it being super detailed and beautiful? That'd be sweet. It was difficult to figure out what to do after Resident Evil 7, Nakanishi said, but I found it, and to be honest, it feels substantial. I can't share any details yet, but I hope you're excited for the day I can. Now, Resident Evil Village is 8, right? It's Resident Evil 8, The Village or something. While yet to be officially revealed by Capcom, reports of Resident Evil 9's progress have increased in recent months. According to insider Dusk Golem, Resident Evil 9 could be set for release in early 2025. Dusk Golem has a strong track record of revealing confidential information about upcoming video games before they are made public. How does he do that, though? And, nobody get in trouble? I never understood, the leakers that, I know I got all this information, and then it turns out to be right. I mean, that's cool. But, you would think after a while the industry would just be like, yeah, we need to stop this guy from getting information or something. Unless they purposely reveal it. The possible delay I had heard rumors about can be pushed aside, they said. Resident Evil 9 should be revealed pretty soon and released next year. If what I heard previously holds true, it should be in January. It'll have had about 7 years in development. So the insider also claims that Resident Evil 9 started development in 2018 as a potential 8th entry in the main series. At this time, Resident Evil Village was seen as a spin-off project before eventually becoming the 8th main entry. Okay. Yeah, that definitely felt... I never played the Village, but that definitely felt more of a side project than just being considered Resident Evil 8. And Dusk Golem also previously claimed that Resident Evil 9 could be an open world title. At the time of this claim, they said Dragon's Dogma 2 expanded Resident Evil engine functionality for open world games. The two other games building on this tech are Monster Hunter Wild and Resident Evil 9. Resident Evil 9. Well, there you go. That one seems pretty dope. So this one caught my eye going back to Video Game Chronicle. Nintendo says it wants to avoid Switch 2 scalping by making enough to meet demands. Now, to me, this should just be obvious, but I'm glad that it's finally come to their attention, I guess. So President Shuntaro Furukawa says he doesn't think component shortages will be an issue. And Nintendo says the best way to stop scalping of the Switch's successor is to make enough of them in the first place. I mean, I could have told you that. Anybody honestly could have told you that. In a Q&A during a general meeting of shareholders, the company's executives, how do you, X's? It's like you're saying XX. I don't like that. The company's executives were asked what measures they were taking place to stop reselling of its next console, given that at last year's meeting they said they were planning to do so. Nintendo President Shuntaro Furukawa replied that the company's main plan for combating scalping is to make sure players don't have to turn to resellers because they can just buy a console at retail. Furukawa said that as a countermeasure against resales, Nintendo believes that the most important thing is to produce sufficient numbers to meet customer demands. I don't know. Part of me wants to be facetious and be like, well, if that's the case, then stop shutting down ROM sites and give people the ability to preserve their games the way they wanted to, you know? It's more on the comment of, oh, well, yeah, we meet our customer demand. It's like, well, no, you don't, because a lot of times you don't listen to them. You know, or a lot of times when you do give customers something, you possibly censor it and all that shit. In addition, the president said Nintendo is also considering whether it can take some other measures. Excuse me. taking into account the circumstances in each region. Furukawa also noted that the semiconductor shortage that affected numerous companies' ability to produce new hardware in recent years is no longer an issue. Oh, thank goodness. Last year and the year before, we were unable to produce sufficient quantities of the Nintendo Switch hardware due to a shortage of semiconductor components, but the situation has now been resolved, he explained. At present, we do not believe that the shortage of components will have a significant impact on the production of the successor model. Nintendo confirmed in May that it will announce its next console this fiscal year, meaning that the Switch's successor will be revealed at the end of March 2025 at the latest. Well, there you go. But yeah, unfortunately, like with the scalping idea in general, it's still going to probably happen. Also, like, especially like if you want to get physical games, but it's limited, like limited run games and stuff. Like if they're the only company that's done that, then you would only have to resort to scalpers. But at least with that, the scalpers technically getting the money as opposed to limited run games, for example. I just wish that other companies that were like limited run games were out there and they would get the licenses to do all these games, because I'm getting tired of limited run games always seemingly getting the opportunity to make certain series that are making a limited comeback. I think it's garbage. That company shouldn't deserve it. So this next one definitely caught my interest. It comes from Niche Gamer. A Catholic church may canonize first gamer saint. So this is like right up my alley with scripture, Christianity, and gaming. So the Catholic Church is set to canonize their first saint, who was also an avid gamer. So Carlo Acutis was a young man who died from leukemia at the age of 15. Okay. In life, Acutis was a devout Catholic who brought his parents back into the faith due to his curiosity and interest in the religious rites of the Catholic Church. So that's great that he brought his folks back into faith. I do have an issue with this religious rites though, because the Catholic Church does have some stuff that is not scripture supported and really doesn't need to have happen. And I'm not bashing on him for obviously having leukemia or anything like that, but I guess we'll find out like the reasons why that it's possible that he could be canonized. I guess when they mean canonized, I guess they mean make him a saint, set to canonize their first saint. So Acutis allegedly even donated games to children in need through the Order of Friars Minor Capuchin. I mean, cool. Since his death in 2006, the charity and devotion of Acutis became more widely known among Catholics. One of the requirements for canonization into sainthood is to have 2 miracles attributed to the candidate. Okay, so this is going to be the big one for me, because I want to see what they're going to be constituting as miracles. And I guess I shouldn't have done quotation stuff here, but the way the word miracle gets thrown around a lot, you got to be careful. So the first miracle of Acutis was in 2019. According to this, there's another link. Let me, I want to see this real quick. Miracles attributed. Okay. We'll definitely read. I'll read this too, because this is a short article. So the first miracle was in 2019 when a mother in Brazil prayed to Acutis to help her son, who was born with a pancreatic defect. The defect kept him on an all-liquid diet, but shortly after the prayer, the family claims he felt healed and became able to eat solid foods again. Okay. I mean, I feel like that's happened all over the world. I mean, that's great. Like, obviously, praise God that if he felt healed. See, it says that he felt healed. Did they go and check to make sure that it was actually gone? That'd be one thing, a pancreatic defect. If the pancreatic defect like just was healed all of a sudden, then yeah, absolutely. That's why we'll probably read the other one because I want to see if there's more reporting about this. So the second miracle was in 2022. Wait, how is it? What? Okay, this guy died at the age of 15 in 2006. But this is saying that a miracle of him was in 2022 when a young woman in Costa Rica experienced a brain hemorrhage with a low chance of survival. The woman's mother prayed to Akadis on her behalf. She began breathing on her own shortly after, with all the evidence of the hemorrhage allegedly hearing. Akadis is expected to be recognized as a saint during the Catholic Church's 2025 Jubilee. Okay, so this is where I have a problem here. Akadis by himself does not have the power to do that. I'm sorry, but this is where I start to get annoyed with the people who are like, this guy's a saint, meaning he's some of them are actually, they've traced it back to possibly where they're descendants of, Peter and whatnot, or that the power was transferred over to him. Do not quote me on this because I would have to look into it again. I've read some stuff about this, but I can't recite this. But I have a problem with this. This glory should not be going to this boy. I hate to say it. It shouldn't be. It should be going to God, not to this guy. And that's a problem I have with just people who are declared saints in general. None of this power was self-manifested or anything like that. It should be given to God and to Christ. And people can definitely be a part of it and whatnot, but this is making it sound like this woman prayed to this guy, and because of him, he got healed. That's not how it works. All that glory should be going to God, not to this boy. Hate to say it, but this is like when they like really hold up like the disciples and whatnot. And yes, they are important figures. And yes, they were given the power from Jesus to go out and cast out demons and do all that stuff. I understand that. But this is where, Christ in Matthew even said that praying to God and to doing this is to be done so in secret, because it then makes it to where you don't have the chance of taking the glory for yourself or having someone become the idol as opposed to giving it back to God and whatnot. But very iffy about this one for me. Again, I'm not downplaying of what he's done and great enough, but when it comes with like the supernatural element of miracles and stuff, you got it's all through God and Christ. I'm sorry. Like, if this is declaring that, through this kid's action and just who he was alone is what healed this person, nope. Not scripturally supported. Glory belongs to God. But maybe this National Catholic Register will give us a more detailed account. So the story of Matthias, the boy who prayed for Carlo Acutis intercession. And this is the other thing, too, that I disagree with Catholicism and whatnot, is that it establishes that you need a connection. Like, if you want to be connected to the Lord and whatnot, you talk to your saint, you talk to a priest, whatnot, and he'll do it. He'll connect you, like, on his behalf. He'll talk to you for God. No. There's a reason why you get the Holy Spirit, is that's the connection right there. So the beatification of Carlo Acutis took place October 10th after a miracle attributed to his prayers and the grace of God. See, why is the grace of God second? It should be first. Miracles should be attributed to God and attributed to prayers. In Brazil, a boy named Matthias was healed from a serious birth defect called an annular pancreas after he and his mother asked Acutis to pray for his healing. So Matthias was born... Oh, okay, that makes sense. So he was born in 2009 with a serious condition that caused him difficulty eating and serious abdominal pain. He was unable to eat any food in his stomach and vomited constantly. By the time Matthias was nearly 4 years old, he weighed only 20 pounds and lived on a vitamin and protein shake, one of the few things his body could tolerate. He's not expected to live long. His mother, Luciana Vienna, dang, got a nice little rhyming there, has spent years praying for his healing. At the same time, and also I'll say this, I understand that the power of healing and prayers does help. But there are, I mean, if you can, don't just turn away, doctors and stuff like that, because God has given them a gift to help people with that, But at the same time, a priest friend of the family, I'm assuming that's Father Marcelo Tenorio, learned online about the life of Carlo Acutis and began praying for his beatification. 2013, he obtained a relic from Carlo's mother, and he invited Catholics to a mass and prayer service in his parish, encouraging them to ask Acutis intercession for whatever healing they might have. See, this is where I don't agree with Catholicism. You do not need to do any of this stuff. None of this stuff is needed. If you have the Holy Spirit inside you, you are directly connected with God and Christ. Anyway, Matthias's mother heard about the prayer service. She decided she would ask Acutis to intercede for her son. In fact, in the days, and you also need to be wary of this too, because Satan masquerades as an angel of light, because he was an angel of light. He was the morning star, first of all. And angels are a lot of times associated with stars as well. So they can masquerade as whatever you want. You need to be careful about this stuff. I do not put it past the power of the enemy and enemies to keep you away from giving tribute and worship to God and stuff by giving you kind of what you want. God may allow it to happen but God will turn it into good, like with Joseph and his brothers. You meant evil against me, yes, but God has made it for good. And explained to her son that they could ask Acutis to praying for his healing. On the day of the prayer service, she took Matthias and the other family members to parish. Friar Nicola Guri, the priest responsible for promoting Acutis' sainthood cause, told Italian media what happened next. So on October 12, 2013, 7 years after Carlo's death, a child affected by a congenital malformation, annular pancreas, when it was his turn to touch the picture of the future blessed, expressed a singular wish, like a prayer. I wish I could stop vomiting so much. Healing began immediately to the point that the physiology of the organ in question changed. So on the way home from the mass, Matthias told his mother that he was already cured. At home, he asked for french fries, rice, beans, and steak, the favorite food of his brothers. He ate everything on his plate. He didn't vomit. He ate normally the next day and the next. Vienna took Matthias to physicians who were mystified by Matthias' healing. Matthias' mother told Brazilian media she sees in the miracle an opportunity to evangelize. Before I didn't even use my cell phone, I was adverse to technology. Carlo changed my way of thinking. He was known for talking about Jesus on the internet, and I realized that my testimony would be a way to evangelize and give hope to other families. Today, I understand that everything new can be good if we use it for good, she told reporters. All right, so she did actually take him, and I guess they did say that it was healed. But again, this glory should be given to God and Jesus, not this Carlo kid. I'm sorry, but anybody can be blessed with the power of a possible healing and stuff like that. I don't deny that. But this is where you're treading very, very closely to worshiping idols and stuff like that. It's like, they'll deny it, but it's like their obsession with the mother, the Virgin Mary, because the scripture says otherwise. You ask them, if you tell me the scripture to say that she was a saint or holy, they can't. There isn't any scripture that supports that, because the scripture says everyone has fallen short into the glory of God. And they'll take it as, well, because she was the host, she was made pure and stuff. But even if that's the case, the glory then should be given to God and Jesus, So I'm kind of indifferent about this sort of stuff. Again, I'm one where I think there's problems in all forms of denomination, and you just got to follow what the scripture says. And I highly question this idea of you need certain people who have been blessed to intervene directly when it comes to talking with Jesus and stuff like that. I'm very hesitant about that sort of stuff, because even in this article too, why isn't it giving God more thanks to it than, that's great that Carlo possibly led to a lot of people, but all of this praise and this focus should be given to Jesus and God, not this kid. That's just me. Might have made some people mad about that, but whatever. Like I said, I have issues with a lot of the established churches out there, because I think every one of them have their problems. That includes Catholicism and Roman Catholicism, But we're here to talk about Japanese gamers. Assassin's Creed Shadows just can't stay out of the spotlight when it comes to the bullshit that they're pulling. According to that Park Place, Japanese gamers launched a petition to cancel Ubisoft's upcoming Assassin's Creed Shadow game. Quote, "This is a serious insult to Japanese culture and history." Ouch. So Japanese gamers have launched a petition to have Ubisoft cancel their upcoming Assassin's Creed Shadow game. Now, I'm interested to know exactly what the petition says. Again, Ted Cruz, Carlo would beat Lucifer on a one-on-one. I guess so. I guess the kid was just blessed with unlimited healing power. Oh my goodness gracious! I mean, that's, like I said, that whole thing, and my thoughts on the whole thing, that it opens up a long rabbit hole that I'm still studying myself, just with scripture and in general and stuff like that. But again, the whole thing with that, and to me, is the idea of putting saints up on a pedestal, because they're just as flawed as every human out there, and I do not see any scriptural evidence in the sense of this original power constantly being transported over and over and over to the back. Now, I don't deny following bloodlines, because that's what the enemies do. That's what the royals do. They've traced their bloodline back to biblical days with Enoch the evil and all that stuff, and the worshiping of fallen angels and stuff like that. They trace theirs back too. So I guess you could say, well, if you believe in that, why can't you believe in this? So again, I'd have to look into scripture on it too, but my biggest issue with the whole thing is, again, that glory and that stuff should really be going to God and Christ. I know 100% that is the truth. as opposed to like, oh, I talked to this kid, and thanks to by the blessings of this kid, he cured my son. It's like, no, that blessing came from God and from Christ. If you were truly blessed, Christ did that. So anyway, as translated via Google's machine translation, the petition created by Shimizu Toru states, recently, lack of historical accuracy and cultural respect has been a serious problem for game developer Ubisoft, which is scheduled to release Assassin's Creed Shadows. This game is based on the samurai of Japan, ignoring the fact that the samurai is the upper class of the samurai class and should be, in parentheses, my family, or a person who serves you. It adds, in fact, William Adams, Miura Prodor, the first European to receive the title of samurai, was the one who served Tokugawa Ieyasu as the flag book for 250 stoning. The petition then declares, in such history, Ubisoft continues to misunderstand the essence and role of samurai. This is a serious insult to Japan culture and history and could lead to racism in Asia. Unfortunately, the racism has already happened, and it's being done by Ubisoft. Because they thought that when they saw it's time to make a character that's based in Japan, they, instead of looking at the norm and the general during that time, instead jacked off when they found out about a black, a black bearer who then could say, well, he was a samurai, and there's very little information about him, so now we can just make up history like they always do and rewrite it, and said that's what this game needs to represent Japan. And then they said, well, and of course, if anyone hates it, they're racist, or they're just mad because he's a historical figure. Yasuke was the perfect DEI pick. And they were so happy to find it. And of course, that's why they grabbed that woke activist who, wrote that disgusting book about young boys, apparently, or something like that. Who knows? As of writing, the petition has received over 16,000 signatures. There you go. This was made in apparently June 19th. Started June 19th, 2024. So not super long. But I agree in the sense that, yeah, something needs to be done. I don't necessarily agree that it should just be straight up canceled. I think they should do what Stellar Blade did by fixing it. Hell, even like what the people who did Sonic originally, when everyone saw the style of Sonic and they said, yeah, this is garbage, we ain't watching this, and the studio was like, okay, we'll make changes. I think if honestly Ubisoft did that, they could see somewhat of a redemption coming back up. But again, they've catered to the woke so much that might not even be enough to even win half of people's good graces back. So there you go right there. This is just a picture. Can't click it. Ugh, excuse me. As I'm yawning over here. The creation of this petition comes in the wake of numerous Japanese gamers torching Ubisoft and the game after associate narrative director Brooke Davies described the game as a fiction. So in a video uploaded to IGN Japan in the middle of June, Davies confirmed the game was, quote, a fiction. Yeah. Yep. After one of their counter arguments for all the racists out there saying, why'd you pick a black dude to represent an Asian country? One of their arguments was he's a historical figure, but yet we're going to make a fictional story. She said the story that we're telling is historical fiction. Wouldn't that be that's just irony at its finest? I can't remember the actual specific word that means when like two things are like the opposite. Like it was a cold fire or something like that. I forget what those are called. But dude, historical fiction is right up there. Oh, so it's nonfiction. And if it's nonfiction, then you're doing a shitty job representing like actual historical stuff. So to take the events of history and what we know of the history, and then I think it kind of like as a palette. Then the story that we write based on these events and what is known needs to fit within that palette. So, okay, we've kind of read this already before, but pretty much she's just bullshitting her way and like, oh yeah, I mean, we have just enough information to know that it exists. That gives us a prime opportunity to just go ahead and make up a story that's really cool. Which, I mean, I'm sure people have done that in the past, but don't have one of your major arguing points saying you're just mad because he's a historical figure, and then you look at said historical figure and there's very little information about him. So you can just make it up. So we can't bring stuff from outside of this. Yet you did. Yet you did. Yes, you did, Brad. Yes, you did. We're trying to work within this palette. No, you're not. But the story is very much fiction. And what the writing team has imagined based on this historical figures and events that we've learned about working with our researchers and historians and consultants, all of which are conveniently woke activists, by the way. Huh, who would have thought? So Ubisoft had previously detailed in a blog post, Ubisoft Quebec went to great lengths consulting source documentation and building a network of expert historians, professors, and cultural consultants to help the team build a world as authentically as possible, from castle construction principles to tea ceremonies to tatami alignment. Boom. Boom. X to doubt. You are a bunch of lying.
Gay.
Z. Throw an S at the end. Bunch of lying gays. But Ubisoft...
Why do you disappoint me? Second by second, you waste my time.
Why do you disappoint me? Just wasting everybody's time with these lies. So it added, the team made trips to Japan to help them properly grasp the landscape and the culture, and more importantly, connect with Ubisoft's Tokyo and Osaka teams who helped with the creation of this game. Did you go to the historical record building that one guy did and found all the historical records of Yasuke, and it was none of what you guys were saying? I don't think you guys did that. So the blog post also made it clear that they were attempting to tell a historical story of Yasuke. It detailed Yasuke also offers a unique perspective of the period. Oh, you mean, having being treated as a weirdo because they've never seen a black person before, most of them. They thought he was dirty, so Nobunaga told them to wash his skin all the time. Pretty much a slave, that part of it. On one hand, he serves as a warning for colonizing threat that the Portuguese present. See, I also hate this colonizing word bullshit. That's just another buzzword. And on the other hand, he adapted and thrived in Japan. No, he didn't. He surrendered like a little bitch, and could be viewed as an example of meritocratic structured established under Nobunaga. In Assassin's Creed Shadows, his historical story is established and then developed and expanded from that point. The team won't spoil how he's linked to Assassin's Creed lore. Players will have to play the game to find out. I will not play the game. I'll let someone else play it. Unless, of course, people pay me to play it while I make fun of it. Then I'll do it, sure. I mean, I played Last of Us Part 2. Rip my life that day. But man, when you're about halfway into Last of Us Part 2 and your entire mindset is, gosh, I just need to get through this game. I've already spent too much time. I hate everything. Just get me through this so it's done, so that the bullshit is over and then I can return it. Davies herself even noted in an Assassin's Creed Shadows video uploaded to the Ubisoft YouTube channel, quote, the historical character of Yasuke presented a real exciting opportunity for the narrative team. Well, it was exciting because there was very little information about him, so you could just make up whatever woke bullshit you wanted to. That was why you were excited. We approached it in the same way that so many of the work is done in Assassin's Creed. What, bastardizing a specific region of the world. I shouldn't say that because past Assassin's Creed games weren't like this before all this woke garbage came into play. But it was slowly infesting, which is really in terms of research and history first. Dude, I'm sure I pointed this out when I've kind of reread this stuff before, but having a historical fiction... I've said it already. You were doing a terrible job trying to make the argument. You don't like it because it's based on history, and now you're just making all this stuff of yeah, because there was so little about him, we just had a prime opportunity to literally make up a story. Which, that's not to say that's never been done before, but people who have done that were successful in creating a character that is appropriate for that time. And I do agree. These people are racist because they're insulting Japan and Asians because they're saying to showcase the best representation of Japan during this time, we need this black dude to be the mascot. And then when people going, yeah, no, it should be an Asian person, then they go, well what about, we have the one girl. It's like, yeah, but she's a ninja. You're literally trying to showcase the samurai during this time. It's so dumb. She then admitted not a lot is known about him. Then why'd you pick him? Find a character that's actually well known, or find... Never mind. But what we did know is that he arrived. But what we did know, you literally repeated the same thing twice in that quote. You mean, but what we didn't know, but between what we did know or we didn't know is that he arrived in Japan in 1578, right when our game starts. It's not really knowing it because you've purposely made it to be like that. So you knew it. And that he had relationships with some of the most interesting people in our setting, like Oda Nobunaga, who told him to wash his skin because he thought he was dirty all over. Man, could you imagine that being put in the game? That'd be amazing. That'd be hilarious. But they're not going to because they're a bunch of fags. The Portuguese and Jesuits, which made it very sort of tantalizing and enticing from a narrative perspective to come in and start weaving these facts with story in between. Japanese players expressed this displeasure to Davies' more recent comments in the comment section of the IGN Japan video. One wrote, "We fabricated a blank space in history." I mean, that sums it up right there. The old lady in the thumbnail used the word historical a lot in an interview with IGN last month and claimed it was based on historical facts, so it's unreasonable to call it fantasy now, wrote another. That's what I pointed out. And I would also like to point out again, the 2 times that we read the Britannica information of Yosuke, the word unknown was the word of the day in those articles. Still another post, isn't it discrimination that Japanese people are not included in we? Yep. Fourth wrote, UBI is a company that is sensitive to discrimination against black people, but is insensitive to discrimination against Japanese people. I would say actually Asians in general, unless they're like pseudo-Asian American, or just woke. Because remember, Japanese people are white adjacent. That's the whole thing. If anybody is in some way, shape, and form associated to a sort of whiteness, these people are racist against you. And sadly, Asian people fall in that category to these people. And then when you tell them that black people commit the most crimes against Asian people, they get really butthurt about that, or say that that information is a lie, which it's not, sadly. Because discrimination against Japanese people is a daily occurrence. One person wrote, "When I saw the thumbnail, I thought this is another anti-political video, but I was wrong. It is a violation of human rights to promote a real person's unknown vacancy period." Ugh. See, I'm yawning at the fact of how boring this game's going to be. To promote a real person's unknown vacancy period by labeling him or her as gay or some other special sexuality. Another question, revised statements in a certain media interview when the words "our samurai" appear. They are trying to create their own samurai and insert themselves in Japanese history. What do you think of Japan? This one's a very good one because this is exactly what they're doing and what I've said before too as well. Not just in video games, but in the movie direction as well. They are rewriting the history of where your favorite franchises and stuff came from so that they can groom the future generations into believing that their version was the superior one that everything was based on. It's like what that one article we read with that one Canadian guy who said these people between like your 2000s and later on, they just completely ignore it. Everything is 2000 upwards. I would actually say probably 2016 upward. I wouldn't even go, I would move it up to there because that's when Orange Man, bad Orange Man became president and everything just went to chaos after that. I don't want Ubi to have anything to do with my country ever again. Another one wrote, historical current events equals a black man named Yasuke existed. That's all. Yep. So others reacted to additional comments from Davies where she shared that Yasuke will train under Nobunaga and that she hoped that people who are interested in history will check out their game. I don't really want to read this. We are really fortunate in the Uzuchi Momoyama period to have this confluence of so many interesting people. So anyway, because I feel like I've read this before in a past article. Later in the video, after revealing not much is known about Yasuke, she detailed how he will train under Nobunaga as well as other Japanese masters. We'll see Yasuke training under Nobunaga, learning and honing his techniques from some well-known masters. There's going to be opportunities in-game to keep developing that skill set, so I think that's something to look forward to. But one person reacted by questioning, where did all this historical accuracy that was emphasized in the official video go? Another posted, this video has been reported. It seems that Ubisoft really thinks that Japanese, even Asians, are easy to bully. Doesn't matter, Ubisoft will have its retribution. It's amazing to be able to go this far with the theme of Assassin's Creed X Sengoku Jedi, excuse me, posted a third. Fourth wrote, in the midst of all this controversy, I admire the fact that she said with a smile on her face, what do you think, people who know history? This is a game. I hope you enjoy it. For now, please do your best to fix that tatami. Another posted, I hope people who are familiar with Japanese history look forward to it. Are you serious? Still another wrote, I wonder what people would think if we made a game set in a medieval Europe where an Asian man wearing full plate armor wanders around town and kills French people in the name of social reform. I love that one. What do I think of, and then it ends with a question. What do we think of this petition? I'm including you guys in there, because let me in the comments below. What do you think of this petition? I think it's definitely a step in the right direction. I don't think that calling for just the game to be canceled should be the end goal. The game should be to straight up change the main characters. And if that causes them to lose that much more money in listening and making people redo their work and stuff like that, then that's fantastic. Would it save face of Ubisoft if they actually listen to people? No, I don't think so. But again, it'd be nice to see if we could kind of have like a Stellar Blade influence occur. Well, that is pretty much all I had for tonight, folks. So you are watching the Power Up Podcast. It's a podcast where I talk about pulp culture and, read articles about video games, anime, manga, all that fun stuff, and point and laugh at how much the insanity is happening in terms of wokeness that are happening, but also try to encourage people to help fight against this and to turn it back and to just get entertained again for that nostalgic sake. So make sure to smash the subscribe and like button. Make sure to turn on notifications to get notified when I go live. We were on YouTube, Rumble. Oops, I forgot to open up Kick. I completely forgot to change, I think, the title of Kick. So people might be thinking that I was playing... whoops. That I was playing Mario Tennis, according to this, but I was not. and I just got a spam. I got a spam about people wanting me to add them to their Discord, as if I would just randomly add a weirdo online, or a rando, I guess I should say. But anyway, and then you can check me out on my other social media listed in the description on YouTube and Rumble, or my link tree on X. But yes, let us go ahead. Is there anybody online that we can redirect to? Camelot's online. I always like listening to Camelot every now and then. Ooh, my boy Legal Mindset is on. So is Chrissy Mayer. We're going to raid Legal Mindset here with Legal Weepset. Latest and greatest anime reviews. Heck yeah. We'll do that there. And then over on Rumble, we'll raid Camelot. Scratch my ear. All right. Come on. Sometimes the raid feature doesn't work. All righty. There we go. All right. I will catch you guys on the flip side. You guys have a good rest of your night. Thanks for the support. Take care. And I'll see you then. Peace. Be back on gaming tomorrow.